Hello, everyone. This is Paul with my reaction to the Caleb Wilson incident. Caleb Wilson, was a student at Southern University, a member of the Human Jukebox, and a pledge for Omega Psi Phi fraternity. First, I want to send out my condolences to his family. I wish you the best as you try to navigate through your lives with the loss of your loved one on your heart. Yeah, my condolences. So, Caleb Wilson was pledging Omega Psi Phi fraternity, the Q Dogs, the what was it, bad boys, but the tough guys of fraternity. And during this initiation, he was unalive. Um, in the reports, initially, the story was given by Omega Psi Phi that members that were in charge of this initiation, that Caleb collapsed while they were playing basketball at a park. And they took him to the hospital. Well, we now know that was a lie. Um, they were not at a park playing basketball. It was a pledge. They were pledging. They were at a warehouse where the initiation was being punched in the chest 4 times. Now, we already know that they're liars. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than 4 times in the chest. And this, video is some questions that I have and some based on the information that I know, that I've heard, some inferences that I'm making. So, punch in the chest, he collapsed. One report said that he urinated on himself. And when you become unalive, one of the first things you do is urinate on yourself, defecate on yourself. So I would make the inference that he probably was unalive at that point. They rushed the other pledges into another area of the warehouse, while the fraternity members that were in charge attended to Caleb. I'm gonna put that in quotes. Attended to Caleb. And I believe they realized at this point that he was unalive, and they were trying to decide what to do. Okay, so one of the things they did was change his clothes, because I'm sure he urinated on himself. They didn't want to take him to the hospital like that. And the report said that it was a 15-minute delay, and I would speculate that it was longer than that, longer than 15 minutes. They changed his clothes. Now they're all in gray warm-up suits. Now I don't know if they brought a change of clothes or they came that way, or where they got, because when he was brought to the hospital, he had black warm-ups on, at least the pants. They didn't say anything about the top. I guess the top they left on, but was that something that he brought with him, or that was belonged to someone else? And I've never really, I didn't pledge a fraternity, but I'm wondering, probably not the pledges, but the members that were in charge of this, none of them had Omega Psi Phi gear on, because I'm saying that they didn't go to the hospital. If they did have it on, they didn't go to the hospital with it on. So they changed if they had that on. So it was more than a 15-minute delay before they took the hospital. They didn't call 911. And the reason why they didn't call 911, because they already knew he was unalive. And they didn't want to come to the warehouse, because the warehouse was leased by one of the leaders that was in charge of this initiators, his father. He's leasing the warehouse. And that also makes me wonder, your father knows you. Does your father know you there? Well, he probably knows you're there. You call him? Did you call him to let him know what was going on? Because with me, I probably would have. So did he know that Caleb was unalive? Did he help y'all with the story, put this story together? And then the warehouse is owned by a city councilman, Baton Rouge city councilman. That would be something that he would want to know because he's a public figure, you know, public official. He would need to know what's going on his property. Was he called before it all was figured out that this whole big ruse of um, being at a park playing basketball was a lie? And I'm going to say this: Omega Psi Phi, you know, this is a local chapter behavior, but this behavior is, it starts at the top. These guys had lied. They didn't think twice about lying. They were gonna They dropped him off at the hospital and left. Nobody stayed around. Why? Because they already knew he was unalive. They dropped him off, gave him the story, hopped in the car, took off. Now, hadn't the Baton Rouge Police Department did some great detective work, looked at cameras and everything, and figured out what the story was a lie, no one would have been the wiser. Caleb's family would be at a loss as to what happened. Of course, they probably would have talked to some people, but who would they have talked to? Because they wouldn't have known. The only reason why they knew who to talk to is because the car was caught on camera, and they were able to see the license plate number, and then they traced the license plate back to, I think it was Isaiah Smith. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why they knew. Otherwise, they would not have known. So that whole incident is just totally despicable for a major fraternity to have members that would behave that way. Um, and like I said, the police found a boxing glove in the warehouse, but they say, okay, well, they would punch him in the chest with a boxing glove. But boxing gloves are to protect the hands of the puncher, and not the punchee. It's not to protect the punchee. And if they're tough guys, like, that's all I've ever heard of them being tough guys, they want tapping them in the chest. I make the inference that they were trying to, I wouldn't be surprised if they used the word cave your chest in. And it's 4 times. I bet you probably it was more like 8 times. Okay. Because we already know they lie. And whatever the second story they told the police, we can say it's a lie with truth woven in it. Some truth woven in it. And now nobody's talking. Now, Caleb is unalive and nobody's talking. Everybody's out to protect themselves. But you have somebody that's unalive. And you know what? One of the things I would say, rest in peace, Caleb. But Caleb can't, Caleb Wilson can't rest in peace until everyone who played a part in him being unalive is held accountable. Everyone, because all of them had a part in it, because they had to get the story together. They had to make sure everybody knew the story, and everybody was sticking to that story. Basketball at the park. Absolutely everybody. So it's the 3 guys they have arrested. It's not just them. One of them did the punching, but they all had some piece in it, because everybody there had to tell the same story. So I wonder how many other people knew. I wonder how quick, how many phone calls were made. Is Omega Psi Phi paying for attorneys for these guys, the ones that are in charge of this pledge initiation? How far up after all this happened were the phone calls? How did far up did the phone calls go? This is very unfortunate, very disappointing. And I hope some quick action is taken. Um, yeah, people need to be held accountable. Omega Psi Phi need to take some accountability in this. They need to do something. Southern University needs to do something. The fact that it was not on campus doesn't mean anything to a fraternity that's registered with the university. So people need to be held accountable for this. And I hope they put policies. Well, it's supposed to already have policy in place. Louisiana has laws in place against hazing. So I hope this tragedy never happens again to anyone. And, you know, every, not every organization, but organizations like to have initiations, welcome new members. But it's supposed to be fun and definitely safe. And I thought hazing was something that was long gone by now, but I guess it's not. So is this punch in the chest thing? Is this something that's done uh, all chapters of Omega Psi Phi at other universities, or is it just with this chapter? Is this something that y'all did last year, or is this something that somebody thought of this year? No one didn't think that trying to punch somebody in the chest as hard as you could wouldn't be dangerous. People may have heart conditions, or may, just, punching in the chest, that's your heart right there. Your lungs are there. So anyway, that's just some questions that I had. Yeah, hopefully, you know, those answers, as uh, investigation continues and advances. And if we ever get the trial or whatever, more answers will come out. Um, and this never happens again. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on it. And, as we get more information, I may do another video on this. So, look, if you're a subscriber already, thank you. I appreciate it. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. My goal for 2025 is to get to 1,000,000 subscribers, and you can help me do that. Remember to like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and that's all I have for you on this subject, at least this time. So until I see you in the next video, goodbye.